Welcome to Voodoo Whiskey Gaming, and this is my late review of Life is Strange Episode 5. This is the wrap-up of this series. So let's get into the story. Daniel and Sean are basically living with their mom in this cool little kind of hippie commune, kind of off-the-grid place. It was kind of a cool place. Had a lot of really neat people, and I will say one thing without giving any spoilers, but man, there is this great moment, and it's involving a Life is Strange character. Which, unfortunately for me, had a bit of a sad tone to it just because of the way my playthrough of Life is Strange ended. But I won't go into any more detail than that, but I did think it was really cool. I know I've bitched and moaned about it a good amount throughout this series now, but I've gotta say, the way Daniel has grown as a character when you reach this point, or at least in my playthrough, I really liked him a lot more. Having now beaten the game and then I went back and watched all the different endings, I don't know how that experience would be. I don't know how a lot of the experiences would be because this game really takes it to another level when it goes into the endings. That's one thing Life is Strange 2 definitely has a leg up on Life is Strange on, because there are just so many endings, and one of them even has like some small variations to it. But there's like 5 or 6 different endings in total. It's really cool that all sorts of decisions you make that you don't necessarily know how important they'll be can have a huge effect on the ending at the end, I guess. Whichever ending you get can really be altered by those decisions, and I think that's very cool. I mean, I guess it's obviously different from Life is Strange 1 because that was kind of telling a different story with a different concept behind it, so it makes sense. But I did think that was a really neat thing they did with Life is Strange 2. And I will say, yes, I'm fairly happy with the ending I got. I don't know if it's my favorite of the endings, but I definitely liked it. As for the audio, I enjoyed the audio once again. I thought this was good. Now I'm going to basically give a review of the audio of the overall game, and I think it's a good soundtrack. I do think there were a few songs that didn't really fit with what Life is Strange does, but I think it was still good music. As for the voiceover work, I have complained a bit about how I wish it was better, to put it simply. Not that it's really the worst I've ever heard, but that did continue throughout the game. I do really wish it was all the top-notch stuff, but overall it was good enough and it did a good job portraying the story. As for the gameplay, there weren't any huge changes in Episode 5 from the gameplay of any of the other chapters, so there's nothing to really comment on there. Apart from the fact that all your choices, not just from a story standpoint, but that does kind of apply to gameplay, really does affect your ending in a way that a lot of games don't do as well. Lastly, the controls. Again, I didn't have any problems with the controls, so nothing to say there. Lastly, the visuals. I think the visuals in this game have been consistently awesome. I have really loved them, and that's no different in this episode from any of the other episodes. I love the style of this game. I really like the style of Life is Strange. Just as a franchise, I think it's cool that kind of watercolor element that they have in their design. I just like it. So to wrap this up, Life is Strange 2 has a really good story, and I think they do a great job with allowing you to affect the story a lot more than some of these other games do. Especially when it comes to how many multiple endings there are based on the things you do. I really thought that was cool, and I thought that was really well done. I also think this game does a great job hitting on homophobia and racism. I think it does a good job of addressing issues like that, but without detracting from the story. I understand that people like to put out media with messages behind them, and I fully am in support of that. The problem is sometimes it goes horribly wrong because people basically misconstrue having a message with having a good story. And fortunately, Life is Strange 2 is not one of those, and I really appreciate that fact. I will say, however, that Life is Strange 2, as much as I did enjoy it, I didn't enjoy it as much as Life is Strange 1. That one just hit me on a whole nother level, and I love that game in a way that I don't think I love a lot of other games. But that is not to say Life is Strange 2 is bad. I actually am going to fully recommend it. I think interactive narratives are great games, and I think people should definitely go out and enjoy them, and Life is Strange 2 is a good addition to the Life is Strange franchise. Okay, so in the comments down below, why don't you tell me if you're down with the fact that I did this episodically? And as always, Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button. And if you like what I'm doing in general, share or subscribe. Have a good one.